All right, we're live and we're in this is Friday, October 9th. So if anybody ever gets to see this within a day or two, good luck. I gotta quit complaining. Both these, we already went through some things. Um, if the video has not been posted, things have been behind for some reason, and hang in there, but keep taking notes and reading about especially lady philosophy. Your quote for today, number 17, I'm not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship. There's also a video by Garth Brooks, very fitting video, I feel, talking about sailing your ships on the river. So please take a look at that. All right. Where we left off Wednesday, we talked about Boethius in jail and how his writings and concerns in his philosophy of life had been a struggle for him. In review, he talks about his early life, his early muses, um, trying to find happiness within himself. Excuse me. I think we all do that. I don't call them muses, but the era of time does. I call them vices sometimes. Things that I did for the pleasurement of myself and what I thought was necessary um, to bring me, as your text says, honor, prestige, position, power, perhaps fame. When I look back at the first state championship my teams won, I was very proud of that and got a lot of identification, chances to speak to us groups of coaches and take trips because of that. But looking back, what was that? Yep, light's still on. So. But anyway, Boethius and his journey and his discussion with lady philosophy. I'm going to ask the students in class, what is or what does lady philosophy represent? And the answer is, go ahead. Okay, I paraphrase for him. Uh, it's the true philosophy, he says. What it should be, not what you hope it is or those muses that are, okay, is that fair enough answer? Okay. Is it somebody that is mysteriously there? Audrey? It was what? Eternal, internal. Okay, the internal things that you have. Okay, that little voice, maybe? Sure? It didn't sound convincing. It's like, I do this quite often, like yesterday. Should I buy this truck or not? Then the wife comes, oh yeah, let's do it. We don't want to put money back into the old one, and it's going downhill. We'll just end up putting more money in it. Let's just start a new one. What we should do, what is necessary. We probably could have paid the big price to have the truck fixed, and it would last till the next big fix. So it's kind of like that. So lady philosophy is his, Audrey says, his inner feeling about a situation. Because at this time, when he writes this, he's in prison. Think about all the things Apostle Paul wrote while he was in prison. There was many others, but they tend to reflect. So when we're imprisoned, do we have to be in a building or a cell? You could be imprisoned right now in your thoughts, your struggles. That's how I look at it. You've got to sail your ship, so to speak, weather the storms, go after it, keep moving no matter what. In this dialogue, he comes up with this overall question between himself and lady philosophy. This is a repeat, but you should have it written down. How can we find happiness? The overall question. And then he adds these questions to it. And they're pretty big questions. What is the object to which all nature tends? I must assume you know what tends means. What is the object to which all nature tends? Now, the nature of what? That's the question you ask yourself. Is nature just those things around me? In this case, it is. The outside influences of your environment and yourself. Okay, then you can go inside. If this is what nature tends, he says, well, then there's an inner struggle and there's an outer struggle in order to seek happiness. He's coming to realize happiness is the only good. But how do we get that happiness? Okay, before we come to that answer, then his next question is, what is man? How can we find happiness? What is the object to which all nature tends? And then, what is man himself? Larry, what are you? What are you? What are you? How can I find happiness? And with all these distractions, and good and bad distractions around me, how am I going to get there? Now, brilliantly, as a Christian, and with all this time in prison, he has, he realizes he can analyze things, and he comes up with this idea. And this is from your textbook somewhere. He realizes all things are created by God, but doesn't believe yet God as the end to which all things tend. He knows God created all things, but he can't connect to which, how does God play the role in them? In other words, how can I, and how does he answer to that? Well, a couple things about him. He didn't quite understand in his Christian belief death and the resurrection. He was struggling with that. Is that real? Was that real? And realize his era of time, 480 to whatever AD, So he's heard about Jesus and the resurrection, but he didn't actually see it, feel it. And sometimes people don't have a lot of faith if they can't touch it, look at it, whatever, see it from a distance, so, or have reinforcement. Think about being imprisoned by yourself with a little bit of contact by other prisoners, how you could relate as you're thinking and writing. What you've seen is about what you've seen and felt in the real world is what you're going to base things on. And then you start reading about things. Let's say you start really reading in depth about in the Bible and reconfirming some things. Now, how are you going to? You don't have Cody sitting in the cell with you so you can converse, or Dre. So who do you converse with? So this is what your inner being, and this is the creation of lady philosophy. Someone in your mind, it's almost like going insane, I think at times. But you are talking with that individual. Even it may be out loud, it may not be. So. Okay, with this, it comes up with lady philosophy, his inner thoughts answering his question. And lady philosophy says, well, you got to go beyond what's logic, what is what you've seen happiness be, what you felt as a young man, what happiness was. And you've got to go beyond that, and there's only one consistent thing in all this. It's the divine. And the divine is God. And he realizes that now as he writes. Now, there are many things out there that will bring you pleasure, that will bring you purpose and meaning to your physical life. But you have to go back. You must possess the divine, he says. And lady philosophy is one that keeps telling him that. The only consistent thing is divine. In itself, in order for you to have happiness, you must seek this at all times. So, if we're not imprisoned in our own world and thoughts, he says you must continue to go forward no matter what. Martin Luther King kind of had a quote, if you can't, crawl, walk, if you can't walk, run, but whatever you do, keep moving and keep going forward. It's that kind of principle. He never, though, gets a straightforward answer how I can obtain this. So he comes up with this idea. He says, I understand now that each individual must seek what is divine, and it's never, other than the aim of reaching God, it's never the same journey. It is something that you have to discover yourself and where you're at on that journey. Your happiness, your trust, your beliefs, your faith, your love of mankind, love of yourself. You have to figure this out. I feel in my heart some people can get by on less trust than other people. Take any of those. I am personally the type of person, I need reinforcement now and then. I need a pat on the back, or attaboy, attagirl. It's really important to me in order for me to keep journeying in the right directions at all times. When you have a shortage of that, this is me now, not the textbook. I think it slows your progress, or you're treading water, or you're still in your boat sailing, to the aim and purpose, but you lose your oar. Now you're relying on the drift, You still have the foundation, you still have the belief, but it's much, much harder to keep the faith, to have trust, and to get pleasure from that. Okay, one more thing. Hopefully you guys take the time and make sure you read the last 2 pages, and it's called Lady Philosophy, a true self-help guide for happiness. It's translated by somebody else, but it kind of gives you a good picture. He even refers to his Lady Philosophy as his physician, the one that takes care of all of his aches and pains and needs, by the way, if you haven't read that. Lady Philosophy believes that the truest goods are eternal, as Audrey said. This is right from the book. They're not found in the worldly things. And Lady Philosophy will not let Boethius think that he has lost the ability to be merely happy because he's enslaved in prison. You can still find happiness wherever. He happens to be confined to a cell. You guys are confined right now to this classroom, but you can still be happy. Like the old song. In a roundabout way. Because they're going to be released soon from the room. It says here, if Boethius is going to obtain happiness, he needs to break free from the influence of his past and his current muses, to find a way to guard himself from these deathly, I'm going to paraphrase, whims or ideas. I'm on page 142. And this is where he gets these 2 further questions that we already, what is the object all nature tends, and what is man? So, what is man? The answer is, what do you think it is? Since we're pretty much equal compared to what everything was correlated to mankind, you got to include ladies, So that's why when I say mankind, I mean both genders. But in here it just says, what is man? The creation of your mind and what you think and what you do is often what happens when you lose track of your happiness and goodness. So keep that in mind. True, the only good thing that entirely is self-sufficient is the divine itself. So the divine is the only thing that is truly happiness. I'm on page 143. In the constellation, as it is shown in the later section, these 3 things, divine, goodness, and happiness, are all different ways of referring to the one major thing, and that is the one major theme of happiness, and that is God. It's a mixture, though. That means that if we're to obtain happiness, we must possess the divine. Many scholars conclude literally having some supreme goodness inside us and transforming it into our little gods within ourselves is very important. With little g, little gods. Now, take that not too literally that you're worshiping them, but we all have little gods within us, things that motivate us. You like to hike. I don't know, you like to fish. But they bring us happiness. Is that necessarily wrong? It's part of the process. As long as, we don't end up, that's all we base everything on. And that's what he's getting down to. Um, then it goes on. Lady Philosophy does offer some thoughts, but she never tells you how you can possess the divine. She gives you hints. And then the book says you should go on and read, and in other words, figure what you think leads to the divine in your life. It's easy to say, I know the divine is God, and I must reach that goal. But it doesn't tell you how. And it tells you, it gives you the hope and wisdom to do so. It's kind of like the quote, you know, you're going to run into storms, or on the video, if you please watch that, you can see and you listen to the sweet words and the pictures. So, that is it for right now. I'm going to prepare a little memory check for you, though, but you should pretty much have the info you need about Boethius and some of the characters. One other thing I like to mention, and it's coming up within 2 weeks, you will be given the assignment for your first research paper. Now, it's a little hard when you're not here. The other 4 people are not here to say, okay, pick a topic. I'm going to come up with an idea where maybe you can pick your own topic instead of me. So stay tuned. We'll let you know. If you have not read some of this, it's not very long. You can go through your notes and double check. You can find some of this stuff and reinforce that. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for the video.